Alright guys, so we are here to take a look at the brand new Waifu Awakening cards. There is a lot to look at. Now, usually, when I do these videos, I do sort of like focus on one unit at a time. It's a little easier to sort of manage that. But a lot of these Waifu cards, they actually do get stronger being on like the full Peppy Gals theme. So I did think it made a lot of sense to sort of show off a lot of them at the same time. Plus, you know, by now you guys know the style I like to take with these. You know, I always consider these sort of private server videos to be like you know, sneak peeks or like early looks at the units. Okay, so this Ribrianne, you know, the hot version of Ribrianne, by the way, she does seal on super attack, which should be very useful there. So, you know, when all these units come out, you know, like in-game in a few days, I'll be sure, you know, I'll do Awakening videos and stuff on all of them at the same time. Now, one thing I do have to point out here, among all of these units, I would have to say I probably like Pan the best. I think Pan is crazy good. She is going to be a very good unit for a lot of, you know, Super Battle Road stages, difficult events, EZAs, you know, Dokkan Battlefield, all of those type of things. Pan is going to be very good. Several of these units have really, really good abilities. The other thing, too, I need to point out, we don't have the physical Chi-Chi on this team, but we do have the new Int Ribrianne. The Int Ribrianne and the physical Chi-Chi, they are actually going to be summonable units that will be coming out on a banner. We could tell this by their potential system, by the way. Okay, so Ribrianne with the dodge right there, not bad. I guess one thing I do like, at the very least, is that they did give all of the, like a lot of these units, new super attacks, right? So at least we do have something different to look at, because, what was it? It was the Great Apes. The Great Apes was the update that really kind of disappointed me, where a lot of them, they just had the same generic attacks they've had forever. Like 18s right here. Like, that's a new super attack right there. We haven't seen that before. That's kind of the attack that future Android 18 does to Trunks, by the way. I feel like that really should have been a future Android 18 card. Now, since we're looking at Mai right here, Mai is going to be pretty good. She's a support type unit. She gives all allies 3 ki. She gives AGL allies 20% attack and defense. So she doesn't give Peppy Gal units extra attack and defense, but she does give them extra chance to crit by 10%. So on this rotation, you know, if Pan or that Ribrianne do a crit right here like that, it's a good chance that it was helped out by Mai being on rotation. I do really like that we have a lot of units nowadays who are sort of doing those types of things. You know, giving extra % chance. We've only seen it with crits so far, right? Like, I do hope we get, like, a unit that gives, like, extra additional, a unit that could give extra chance to dodge. You know, abilities like that will be very, very helpful. So we also have Videl in this rotation. Videl is a really interesting card, but the thing about her, in this event, she's going to be hit or miss, because I do think, isn't Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, he might be immune to pretty much everything. No, just stun and seal. Okay, so Videl would be useful here in this Gogeta fight, but Videl, she lowers attack on super attack, and she lowers attack by 20% on her passive, and she recovers health from her passive, and she gets, what is it, like a 105% attack and defensive buff. So Videl is really strong. The Pan is really strong, because again, Pan, what does she do? Pan gives herself 70% attack and 120% defense for 7 turns. That's not that difficult to maintain, right? I think a lot of battles usually do last somewhere from the 5 to 7 turns, especially in like Super Battle Road. I do think you should be able to maintain that passive pretty much the whole time. The other thing Pan does is she has a Dispo-like ability, where she actually will increase her chance to dodge by 15% every turn that she's on. Again, the same thing that Dispo does. So many of these Peppy Gal units, they're able to do a bunch of different things, which makes a lot of them, like, I think, really quite good. Like, even this Ribrianne right here, you know, she's able to heal whenever she gets Rainbow Orbs. Like, before, like, when we first saw that the Peppy Gals were going to have a category Super Battle Road stage, it was at first like, oh boy, you know, that's how hard is that gonna be? But like now, there's so many like insane Peppy Gals units. Like, you know, we don't even have Kefla on this team. You know, we don't have Khalifa here. Although Khalifa, you know, she is more of a defensive type unit. Even Tech Android 18, not this one, but the Tournament of Power one is very, very good. I'm gonna have to. That might be a video actually. Which Tech Android 18 is better, the Tournament of Power one or this one right here, this waifu one? I'm thinking that the Tournament of Power one is probably better than this Tech 18. The reason I think that is because the Tournament of Power 18, she has like an attack and defensive buff kind of like a, you know, at the start of turn, and then she also increases her stats based on orbs. 18 just has a monstrous buff based on the amount of orbs she gets. I think on a full Peppy Gals team, I think 18 gets 21% per orb, which is crazy for attack and defense. So, you know, she could be an interesting little nuking type unit, depending on how things align. So, I would be curious to see, like, if I sort of, you know, compared and contrasted their damage, who would be able to hit harder more consistently. Of course, both of them do have the same name, just Android 18, so you couldn't use them both on the same team. I'm also thinking this Ribrianne right here is not farmable. You're going to have to use Kai's on her, the Int Ribrianne, because there is a farmable Ribrianne, but it's this one right here, that friend unit. She's the farmable card, and, you know, the Int Ribrianne has a different name. There's, like, you know, a lot of people might not realize this, but there's, like, 4 different named versions of Ribrianne. There's just, like, normal Ribrianne. There's the giant form Ribrianne. There's the super Ribrianne, which is I think that's that one right there is a super Ribrianne. That's the one that fights Goku in the 1 hour special where Goku fights Jiren. And then we also have Brienne de Chateau, which is of course her base form, you know, before she transforms into Ribrianne. So like there's a million different you can have all like so many different Ribrianne cards on the same team. Cuz the one that's called just normal Ribrianne, I believe it's the Dokkan version of the physical one. And then when the physical one awakens, she becomes the giant Ribrianne, right? So there's 2. Then you could have the SCR one right here, and then the Int one. You'd have 4 different Ribriannes. You could have nearly a full Ribrianne team. Because of the 7 units on a team, you could have 5 of them be Ribrianne. That's wild. They're really pushing that Ribrianne hard. And then, like, you know, eventually, I feel like, could we get like a Ribrianne plus the rest of her, you know, her team, like all the other different transforming girls on one team? So we could get one day, the dream, the full Ribrianne team will happen. I cannot wait. I don't know if Ribrianne will get an LR, but it certainly would be, like, they could have done that. Like, remember, for a short while, we actually were all thinking that LR Ribrianne was going to be coming to Dokkan as an April Fool's gift, but you know, it ended up just being like a normal SSR, that, you know, the STR one that we're using right here. But that would be wild. I do still think a LR Yamcha, like I feel like the April Fool's Yamcha cards, the dead Yamchas, they could, like, what if they made them LRs for, like, next April Fool's Day? That would be really cool. Like, that's the type of thing I do hope they, you know, they give us, like, you know, just as a nice little joke right there. So, all right, we've been on Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta for a long time. Here's the thing. The STR Ribrianne Awakening, her leader skill is 88%. Now, the Int Ribrianne, her leader skill actually gets up to 100%, and she doesn't awaken, so whenever the Int Ribrianne finally does get an awakening, you know, she is probably going to be a 120% leader, which is going to be pretty good. Like, that's like kind of a normal leader skill. So the Peppy Gals team is going to be half decent. I do think the Peppy Gals team probably is strong enough to take down almost all the events. If you had a double Int Ribrianne who was rainbowed, you probably could beat even the UI Goku event. I think just as long as you weren't bringing any tech units, you should be good to go. UI Goku is really tough, but, you know, some of these waifu cards are, you know, just in turn, really quite good. Like, the SCR transforming Ribrianne, this Int Ribrianne, their stats aren't bad. Like, especially, I'd say this Int Ribrianne, she might be the best of the bunch, and she is kind of proving it in this video with the amount of damage she's doing. But, alright guys, so we'll go ahead and finish up here. There should be a banner dropping, I believe, in 2 days. I will be summoning to get the Int Ribrianne and the Physical Chi-Chi, new cards that will be on the banner. There might be an LR, hard to tell, because we would need another day to download. But thanks, guys, for watching, and I guess I will catch y'all in the next one. Of course, again, I will be doing some summoning probably on stream in a few days here when the banner actually does come out. And I think next week is when we'll get the data download for the Dragon Ball Heroes cards, so that'll be exciting. But, alright guys, have a good one, and later.